What's up, boxing fans? This is TBE Boxing. Back at you again. Today's topic: Bob Arum will settle with Terence Crawford. A trial will result in Arum being the 10th straight Bud KO victim. Let's chop it up and see what it's all about.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? That life before riches, huh? That life before riches, huh? Pretty bitch, show me titties, huh? And I got the glaze, you gonna ball me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.
Okay, boxing fans, let's talk some boxing. So, as you all know, there's been a lot of news going on in boxing. A lot of things have been happening. The big news, of course, is that Terence Crawford is suing Bob Arum for monetary damages, damaging his career, and that's basically the biggest news in boxing right now. So since this lawsuit came out, from Terence Crawford, a lot of people done came out the woodwork. It's like people are taking sides, basically. Mostly taking sides with Bob Arum. Okay, and one or two people out there actually riding with Crawford, but for the most part, the YouTube boxing community, the LDBC, and most of those guys, they are riding with Bob Arum, and using the lawsuit to say that Terence Crawford's career might be over. So that's basically how it's shaping up, as far as we can see. So, like I said, once the lawsuit came out, all the Negroes, popped up popped up like roaches, to basically forecast the end of Crawford's career because he's filing suit against, Bob Arum. So the first person I think that actually came out and said something about but actually in defense of Bob Arum, that is, they came out in defense. That's Rashida Ali, Muhammad Ali's daughter. Okay. So she came out and here's a statement right there. I mean, it's partially blocked by this thing here, but you can see it. Bob Arum stood up my father when the world was against him, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know if you guys remember, a couple of years back when Floyd Mayweather, made the, had the temerity, I guess you could say, according to everybody else, to say that he was the greatest and that he was a better fighter than Muhammad Ali. And you saw what happened with Floyd Mayweather. I mean, everybody came out against him. Lila came out and slammed him, criticized him. The whole boxing community came out and criticized him. Okay? Especially the Ali family, right? Now, look at this. This is Bob Arum, right? This is what Bob Arum says about Ali. Let's take a look at it, okay? I'll share it right now. It's right at the top, but you can't really see it. So I'm going to share the whole thing so you can take a look at it, right? So hold on for a second. Okay, so there it is, right? So here it is. Here it's saying Bob Arum says Ali fought in the era of 69 bums. Tyson Fury would beat him. Okay? This is what Bob Arum is saying, right? So basically, say Ali, in the fighters back in those days, like the size of Fury, they were bums, and Ali would have been fighting bums back in those days, and that Fury, would beat Ali, and not only that, he even said that Fury is the greatest heavyweight of all time. Okay, so now here it is right here, right? It is right here. Arum believes Fury is the greatest heavyweight of all time, and he will just get better. And that Ali fought when Ali was fighting, he was fighting. If anybody was the size of Fury, they were bums. Okay, so this is what Bob Arum says. But hey, Did you hear anybody from the Ali family come out and criticize Bob Arum? No. Okay, no. Instead, they come out and they talk about how, you know, Bob Arum is such a great guy. Okay. So, I mean, at the end of the day, man, you know, we really got to see what's really going on, you know? So, the whole thing to me is kind of amazing, really, when you really look at it. I mean, the hate for Terence Crawford is so great that these people would rather ride with Bob Arum than they would rather ride with their own. You know what I mean? I'm talking about people like, you know, some of these guys in the LDBC who claim that they're, you know, so-called pro-black, right? So, but yet still they're riding with Bob Arum. And every time these guys want to say something negative about Terence Crawford, they quote Bob Arum as if Bob Arum is like the last word, like he's God or something. When Bob Arum said this, when Bob Arum said he don't sell, well, he can't get the same amount of money because Bob Arum said he don't sell. So they're quoting Bob Arum, right? These are the pro-black guys, right? So they're quoting Bob Arum, riding with Bob Arum against her. I mean, some of these guys even came out and said it. I don't feel sorry for Crawford. He was over there buck dancing with the white man. Now, you know, this is what I call the height of hypocrisy, okay? Crawford is buck dancing with the white man because he's doing business with white people. We all do business with white people. Most of the people that's talking that nonsense, they work for white people. And their jobs, the white people on their jobs ain't no less racist than Bob Arum. Okay, let's get that straight. Many of us out there who have worked with different companies have been through that. I've been exposed to that type of racism. Okay, so to say that, you know, and we didn't quit. You know, a lot of these people that's exposed to this racism on a daily basis, they didn't quit their jobs. They're still working there right now, as they're talking about Terence Crawford, right? So while they're talking about Terence Crawford buck dancing with the white man, they're still on their jobs working for the white man. Okay, so this is the hypocrisy that I'm talking about. This thing is so ridiculous. Okay, so but they're criticizing Terence Crawford. Now, a lot of these guys don't really know too much, so you can't really, you know, give them, you know, sometimes you just gotta, you know, see with these guys, because I think sometimes some of these guys don't even know what the hell they're talking about. I mean, one of the criticisms they have of Terence Crawford is that he stayed with Bob Arum. Okay, I'm gonna knock these nonsense, these narratives down one by one. So let's start with the one and say, oh, well, you know, he signed with Bob Arum and he stayed with Bob Arum. He re-signed with Bob Arum. So now the question is this: did somebody offer him a contract other than Bob Arum? Who did PBC offer him a contract? We just heard PBC came out and said they don't have enough money to pay Crawford because he might want with money. But did they offer him the contract before he signed with Bob Arum when he was a free agent? No. Okay. So now, is Terence Crawford the only fighter that signed with only black fighter that signed with Bob Arum? How many black fighters that signed with Bob Arum? Do they all have to quit? Should they all quit, you know, working with Bob Arum because he's racist? If everybody in America that's black quit because their boss is racist, 99% of the people would be out of work. Okay, so you know, these people can talk, you know, a lot of this foolishness if they want to. And a lot of people will listen to them and believe that crap, but you know, they can't. That stuff don't get by me, okay? Because I know what time it is. Okay, so here is Terence Crawford working for Bob Arum. You know, not in a different position than most of us who was working for anybody else out there. Okay, so he's doing what he's doing. Okay, he got a good deal with Bob Arum, making more money than the guys in the PBC are making. Okay, and so he's doing his business. The contract was done. He re-signed with Bob Arum, but it probably because he didn't get any other offers. So why not sign with Bob Arum? Now, you know, another criticism is that, oh, well, you know, if he saw this racism going on, how come he didn't say something? How come he didn't do something about it? I mean, you know, why did he still stay? So he should have left the contract if he felt that they. Now, these guys don't understand how this thing works. So if you're a guy and you're in a contract with someone and you want to sue these people for breach of contract, you don't do that by breaching the contract yourself. I mean, that would be stupid to do that. You can't sue somebody for breach of contract while you breaching the contract yourself. That's a waste of you. I mean, that would be dumb. Why would you do something like that? So Terence Crawford stayed in his contract. He lived out his contract honorably, and then he sued after he got out of his contract for redress, which is this is the smart thing to do. Okay, you don't just leave a contract. Nobody does that. Even Floyd Mayweather didn't do that. He bought out his contract. But we already know that once, Bob Arum knows that Floyd Mayweather did that. You think he was going to let Terence Crawford buy out his contract now? You think that if Terence Crawford went to Bob Arum and said, hey, listen, man, I want to buy out my contract, what do you think Bob Arum was going to say? After what happened with Floyd Mayweather, he would have said no. Okay? So that, as far as we know, Terence Crawford probably already tried that. Okay? And Bob Arum probably told him, no, I'm not letting you go. So, and then, the next thing is that these people are talking about what Bob Arum said this and Bob Arum said that. I mean, who is Bob Arum? God? These guys believe in Bob Arum like he's God or something. I don't get it. They keep quoting Bob Arum every chance they get. So at the end of the day, they talk about how the contract is a racist. It's talking about racial, charging Bob Arum with racism. I mean, everybody know who Bob Arum is. Okay? So, I mean, at the end of the day, they talk about he's laying out a racial case and he's this and that, but he didn't lay out a racial case. The case is seeking redress. Now, to me, it looks like they're trying this case in two courts from where I'm sitting. You have the court of public opinion, and then you have the real courts. Okay, so Crawford and his lawyers laid out their case for the court of public opinion, and they laid out that so-called racial case. But that's not a case. They're not going to try that in court. That's a case that they're trying in the court of public opinion, and we already know that Bob Arum already lost that case in the court of public opinion. Okay, everybody knows that Bob Arum, the anecdotal evidence tells you that. Okay, Bob Arum, he lost that case in the court of public opinion. So that's a smart move by Terence Crawford, the lawyer. But their case is primarily seeking monetary damages. Okay, and to make it even better, the case is structured to the point where he's not reaching. Like, there's a thing in court called reaching, where you try to file a suit and you try to claim too much, way too much, and sometimes the court might just track that down and say it's reaching or it's frivolous but Terence Crawford's case is seeking a specific amount of money for a specific situation, and I'm pretty sure that all the proof is there for him to to win that case that he was laid out. And I don't think Crawford is the kind of guy who would make a frivolous lawsuit. I think he's very serious about this suit. And I think that Bob Arum is going to settle this case because I don't think Bob Arum wants his books out in the public, out in the courts, people pouring through his books and see what the hell he's doing. I don't think that's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is that Bob Arum is going to settle with Terence Crawford, pay him the money that he owes him, and that's going to be the end of that. Okay? So, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if Bob Arum and Terence Crawford still did business after that. And why would Bob Arum do business with Terence Crawford? Well, for one thing, I mean, Bob Arum is a lawyer, so he knows what time it is. And he knows that the case that Terence Crawford is laying out and the monetary damages seeking is reasonable from a lawyer's perspective. I'm not talking about from his own personal perspective. I'm talking about from as a lawyer, he would know that. Okay, and his people know that. So Crawford is laying out a reasonable case. It's not a case where he's trying to take a money grab. He's not trying to grab millions of dollars from Bob Arum. He's just seeking the money that he's supposed to get. So it's a reasonable case, and any judge will see that for what it is. Now, a lot of people are saying that he should have asked for $100 million. I mean, see, that's how these Negroes think, because that's what they would do, and their case would probably end up getting thrown out of court. Okay, but I think Crawford is too smart for that. So he just laid out a reasonable case. And I like I said, I think if they went to trial, he'd probably win, but I don't think it's going to trial. I think that Arum is going to settle because, I mean, it's not like he basically just got to pay Crawford the money that he owes him. As simple as that. So I think that's going to be the end of that case. I think they're going to settle the case quietly. I don't think it's going to go to trial. Okay. So basically, you know, this whole thing, as far as I can see, you know, a lot of these guys are riding with Bob Arum. I mean, except for a few exceptions, you know, people like, which was kind of surprising to me that, you know, he took the position he took, considering who he, you know, his past criticism of Crawford. That's champ side. He's riding with Crawford 100%, it looks like, in this situation, which is cool. I like that because, you know, he's seen the big picture. The rest of these guys have not seen the big picture. Okay, so shout out to Champ side, you know, because I mean, I criticized him before for last time he said, you know, but hey, if you say something wrong, I'm going to criticize. If you say something right, I'm going to give you your props. And I got to give him his props. Champ side is riding with Crawford all the way on this one, and he, like I said, he's for all the guys in the LABC, he's probably the only guy that's really seen the big picture. The rest of these guys are doing, are making petty comments and you know, having petty grievances. Okay. They don't want to, because Crawford did this, and Crawford said, because Crawford said this about Spence, and Crawford said this about Spence is ducking. So these guys are riding with Bob Arum because of what Crawford said about Spence, and the fact that basically the fact that Crawford has exposed Spence as a ducker. So they're mad at that. And so now, you know, because of that little petty grievance, they're going to ride with Bob Arum against Crawford because of what he's saying because of how he exposed Spence in the last couple of months for being a ducker. You know, so this is the definition of man fan and nut hugging. Okay, that's what these guys are, nut huggers. Okay, I mean, these guys are so close to fucking, excuse my language. These guys are so close to Errol Spence nuts. I mean, I don't know. All I can say is that, you know, a lot of these guys are exposing themselves. I don't know if they understand that, you know, these videos that they're putting out and is going to be a part of the permanent record. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be 10, 20 years from now. These videos are going to be, you know, part of the history, part of the narrative. You know, they ain't going to be able to escape. Okay, because it's on the record. So, you know, again, you know, it's all about at the end of the day, it's what you call a plantation mentality. You know what I'm saying? These guys, you know, you know, it's like when Malcolm X was saying that when the slave master get hurt, the slave go, oh, we hurt, boss. We hurt, boss. Okay, these guys, they love the plantation, you know, but they don't want to leave it for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so they are the plantation. Terence Crawford left the plantation. Okay, these guys, they mad at him because of that. Because he left the plantation. First, to tell him to leave the plantation. Okay, he should leave. Then when he finally does leave the plantation, they want to stay and they get mad at him. Okay, I mean, you know, all this talk about Terence Crawford leaving Top Rank and going to I mean, why should he have left Top Rank and go to PBC to do what? To fight once a year like they're fighting in PBC? Or once every 2 years? How much money are those guys in PBC really making? Okay, which guy in PBC, okay, has become undisputed under the PBC banner? Which one? Okay, which guy in the PBC has accomplished as much as Crawford professionally in boxing under the tutelage of the PBC? Who? Tell me. What has these PBC the most accomplished fighter under the PBC banner at welterweight was Sean Porter, and then you had you had Manny Pacquiao, but he retired now, and then Sean Porter retired as well. But so those are two guys are the most accomplished guys under the PBC banner. From this generation, we're talking about Crawford, okay? Not Crawford, I mean Porter, okay? Under PBC, the most and look what we saw what Crawford did to Sean Porter. And, you know, the fact of the matter is that given the opportunity, Crawford would have done the same thing to every fighter in the PBC he did to Sean Porter. These are the facts. This is what has been shown and demonstrated. Okay, so all this talk about how great these PBC fighters are. Okay, yeah, they're great fighters amongst themselves in house when they're fighting each other. Okay, but when they gotta go out there out in the bigger world and fight real fighters, then we all see what happened. I mean, Deontay Wilder smashed by Tyson Fury. Okay. Russell, he just lost his title. And he got smashed in 2015 by Lomachenko. Lost his title. Okay. So at the end of the day, right now in PBC, they have. I mean, when we're talking about so-called quote unquote elite fighters are paper stars besides Errol Spence and Gervonta Davis, they kind of and the rest of their fighters are basically like Mexican fighters, right? So this is where PBC is right now. I mean, we just heard we see them putting on fights with pay-per-view fights with Mario Barrios and Ortiz, and I mean fights that should never go on pay-per-view are going on pay-per-view. Why are they doing that? They don't have the money to pay the fighters probably. PBC fighters have to go elsewhere to get big paydays. Okay, like Sean Porter did. He went to Top Rank to get the big payday, but they want Crawford to leave Top Rank to come to PBC to be in that, to be a part of that. Not making any money. Okay, so I mean, I don't have nothing against PBC at the end of the day. So it's all about I mean, if I was Crawford, it's all about what they're gonna offer Crawford. Okay, if you want Crawford to come to PBC, then you gotta treat the man with respect. You can't diss the man and expect him to come. You want him to come begging? He's not gonna come begging. That's not the type of person Crawford is. I mean, that should be clear by now. Okay, he's not gonna do that. Okay, so if you're serious about Crawford, then why don't you treat him like how you treat Canelo? Okay, treat Crawford like how you treat Canelo. PBC is supposed to be a black-run organization, African-American run organization. Okay, but the African-American fighter, you treat him like ish, and you treat other fighters, you treat Canelo like a king. Okay, Canelo himself said it. That's how they treat him like a king. And how he's probably going to work with PBC because of the way they treat him so good. But with Crawford, they come out in the public and say, "Oh, we don't have enough money to pay Crawford, and because he might, we don't the money he might want. We don't have that kind of money, and we don't want to, disrespect him by making an offer. But you can offer Canelo $50 million and pay him $50 million." But you don't have maybe $15 or $20 million to pay Crawford and Spence. So, I mean, I don't understand how people can watch this stuff and that their brain must be turned off because they're not thinking about what's really going on. Okay? These people, they disrespect the black fighters and they disrespect the black fans on a daily basis. And it goes for both PBC and Top Rank. They disrespect none of them have any respect for the fans. Because if they did, they would give the fans the fights that they want, but they're not doing that. They're just bamboozling the fans and pulling the bait and switch on the fans. And I mean, they treat the fans like dirt. And they treat the fighters even worse. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, if you want to get Crawford on PBC, because I mean, just imagine if Crawford was at PBC. I mean, like I said, I'm not against it. I mean, even though I just don't think, if I was him, I wouldn't sign under the circumstances that they're dealing with me right now. I wouldn't do it because they're not dealing with him. They're not dealing with Crawford correctly. So why should he sign with him? If they're gonna, you're not even with them yet, and they're disrespecting you. So what's gonna happen when you get over there and they have you on a contract? You see? So you gotta show and prove. Okay, where I come from, you gotta show and prove. All the talk don't mean nothing. Okay, you gotta show and prove, and until PBC is gonna, if they really want Crawford, they need to show and prove that they want Crawford, and they need to treat him just like they don't gotta treat him special, like he's they just gotta treat him like they treat everybody else, like the people that they like how they treat everybody else that they really want to be on PBC, like how you treat Canelo because you want him to come to PBC. Okay, you treat him like a king. You treat him good. You give him what he wants. You respect. You treat him respectfully. You talk to him respectfully. You don't put out stuff in the media, disrespecting Canelo. But you do that with Crawford, and then they expect him to come and sign. You want him to come over and sign. You want him to sign under duress. You want him to sign because he got nowhere to go. You want him to sign. Basically, you want him to come begging on his hands and knees. Okay? And you think he's going to go for that. He's not going to go for that. Okay? It's not going to happen, not in this life. It'll never happen. The only way they're going to get Crawford is to treat him with respect like he deserves. And, and that's the only way they're going to get him. Okay? But, this is the thing about black people. And I'm going to say this. We're going to get into this because this shit is deep. This is how black people treat each other. Okay? They try to humiliate each other, but they will respect the white man to the max, just like they're doing with Bob Arum. Right now, we've seen the whole thing play out in front of us. Okay? They're treating Crawford worse than Bob Arum. And these are black people doing that. Okay? As a matter of fact, let's get even more real. Okay? We're going to get even more real than that. Bob Arum, like I said, they're treating Terence Crawford worse than they're treating Bob Arum, right? Hold on for a minute. Let me get this thing here straight. Okay. All right, there we go. So like I was saying, they're treating Terence Crawford, worse than they treat Bob Arum. I mean, they're giving Bob Arum all the respect in the world. Bob Arum said this, Mr. Arum this, and every time they want to say something bad about Crawford, they quote Bob. Oh, Bob Arum said he don't sell it. Bob Arum said he can build a house in Beverly Hills. Bob Arum said he can do this. Bob Arum said he can do that. I'm like, what the hell? What are these guys doing? I mean, talk about Negro mentality, man. I mean, just for petty grievances. You understand what I'm saying to you? So you have a little difference with your brother, and just because of that little difference, you want to end his career, or you want to end his life, which is what happens out in the hood all the time. Okay, I mean, because you see it for yourself. I mean, we hear about it daily. These black people out here, they kill each other for in a second for the slightest thing. Okay, for the slightest mistake or the slightest problem, they're ready to ride. Now we're gonna ride on this nigga right now. Okay. Police come in the neighborhood and shoot 4 or 5 people, murder children, women and children. They do nothing. Okay, nothing at all. And if somebody in the hood or in the neighborhood does do something and go after the, retaliate, the person that does that, they totally forget about that person. He's wiped out of it's like they don't even talk about that person. Okay, so at the end of the day, man, it's a Negro mentality. Okay, and we need to get out of that. Because it's been like 250 years, and a lot of us are still on the plantation, and now that we're still on the plantation, we refuse to leave it. Okay, refuse to leave the plantation. And if you see somebody leave the plantation, you running after him with the slave master, to bring him back. I mean, it's crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's crazy. People gotta understand this for what it is, man. And if you're gonna talk, if you're gonna be out there talking about, we gotta know there's a time for everything. Okay. I mean, I'm not saying we are gonna get along. Okay, we are not gonna get along all the time. Okay, I mean, that's just the way people are. But when there's a danger to our community, we need to get together and deal with it. Okay? It ain't no time for petty grievances. Okay, it's time for action. And so forget the petty grievances until the danger that's facing us is over with. Okay, and then you can go back to whatever you want to do with your petty stuff or whatever, but deal with the danger first. And that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way everybody else operates, except for us. Okay, so again, man, like I said, we quick to criticize ourselves. As opposed, to criticizing other people. Like I said, how Bob Arum, Drew, he called out I mean, it's so ridiculous. He called out, Rashida Ali and George Foreman. They ran out there dutifully, like good Negroes. They went out there dutifully and attacked Terence Crawford. Are basically supported Bob Arum. So, it is what it is. But again, when Bob Arum said what he says about Ali, or he said something critical about or something racist, or that's just Bob being Bob. That's just Bob being Bob. But when Terence Crawford said that's Bob being Bob, they criticized him for that, because when he said, "Oh, that's just Bob being Bob," when they asked him about Bob, he said, "That's just Bob being Bob." That's what everybody says. That's just Bob being Bob, meaning that just Bob, the old racist white man. He's from the old days, from the old school. Ain't nobody out there that's gonna say that that's gonna. I wouldn't go to court and say Bob Arum is not racist. I wouldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? But I was watching barbershop conversations for about 20 minutes or so, and he was on there talking about this case. And he mentioned the Crawford case and how he was saying some crazy stuff about Bob Arum can't be racist now because look at all the black fighters signed to top rank. How many black Terence Crawford got is top rank, got Terence Crawford undisputed fighter at 140, and got him champion at 147. Okay, well, that did happen. Okay, and this is the reason why Terence Crawford stayed loyal to Bob Arum, because stuff was actually getting done. But people were telling me to leave Bob Arum when he became undisputed at 140 with top rank. Okay, who's undisputed with that's with PBC at any weight? The only closest guy to it is Jamel Charlo, and he still isn't undisputed yet. And we don't know if he's going to even become undisputed, because, many people will say that fight that he got a draw with, he lost it last time. But, it is what it is. So, at the end of the day, man, what Crawford is doing, a lot of people should have done that already. But nobody was able to step up to the plate. Nobody, did what they were supposed to do. They all just took it. And they are just, look what he did to Mikey Garcia, shelved him for like 3 years. Okay, look what he did to Floyd Mayweather. Floyd had to buy his contract out. And they're not the only ones. There's a lot of stuff, shady business that go on, with boxing in general, not just Top Rank. Okay, and so it is what it is. It's a dirty business. Okay, and so Crawford is out there doing what he got to do to survive and taking care of his business. And as you can see, anybody out there, trying to help him out, or as a matter of fact, the people that's supposed to be riding with him are riding with the opposition. Okay, I mean, and these guys are running around with a big sign on their back saying that they're pro-black, right? So, I mean, it's a good thing they're pro-black, because if they were pro-white, we'd be in serious trouble. I mean, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, man. Man, I see a guy like BFTB. This guy is I don't know, man. This guy's out there. I mean, this guy hates Crawford with a passion. I mean, I don't get it. Why? What is there to hate about Crawford? I mean, he doesn't duck anybody. He takes the fight as they come. He doesn't do a lot of talking, okay? He don't run his mouth, okay? He's not out there partying and drinking and shucking and jiving like a lot of these guys are doing, okay? He's a serious family man who takes care of his business. Simple as that. Undisputed at 140. Would have been undisputed at 147 if the people wasn't ducking him and trying to freeze him out. So I don't know. All I can say is I hope he wins the case, you know what I'm saying? And I hope that everything go good for him from here on in, now that he separated himself from Top Rank, which I don't, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he did business again, because at the end of the day, Bob Arum know that Terence Crawford is a serious person, regardless of what he might be saying. Okay, he know the real one from the ones that's not real. I mean, he's seen them all. He's seen all kind of people. Okay, he's been around a long time. You know what I mean? So he's seen it all. So at the end of the day, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did business together again, because I don't see PBC giving Terence Crawford an offer. Okay, I don't see them making any respectful offer to Terence Crawford. I see Tim Smith coming out and disrespecting Terence Crawford and trying to play him for a fool. That's what I see. Okay, and so basically they're trying to, like, you know, drag him down. Okay, so I mean, I don't think he's going to sign with PBC. But I mean, even if people, you know, and the thing about Terence Crawford is, I think if PBC actually came to Crawford with a respectable offer and approached him respectably as a man, he wouldn't have a problem dealing with them. But they made him an offer. I haven't seen any offer that they made to Crawford. I always talk about, you know, even with this Errol Spence nonsense about the 60-40 or 70, they didn't make any 60-40 offer to Crawford. That's just Errol Spence out there talking nonsense. Errol Spence can't negotiate. He's not the boss over at PBC, no matter what he says. Okay? The only thing that Errol Spence is the boss of is himself. He can, if the fight is to happen, Errol Spence got to say yes. We already know that Crawford wants to fight. We see him looking for, calling out Errol Spence. We see him going to the WBC and requesting to become the mandatory. We see him going to the WBN and requesting to become the mandatory for Errol Spence. We see him going to, I mean, this guy is doing everything in his power to get this fight. Okay? And Errol Spence is doing everything in his power. Now, they say, oh, well, if Bob Arum couldn't get Crawford to fight, why is he saying, and again, we go back to this petty bullshit, okay? These fools are saying that if Terence Crawford, if it's Bob Arum fault why Terence Crawford couldn't get the Spence fight, why is he blaming Spence? That's why they're going to ride with Bob Arum, because, you know, he's lying. He's saying that Spence is the one, Hey, dummies. It don't matter what Bob Arum want. Bob Arum could want all he want, okay? But if Spence don't want to fight, it's not going to happen no matter what Bob Arum says. Bob Arum can't work magic, okay? So it is Spence that don't want to fight. Whether Bob Arum could get the fight, the reason Bob Arum can't get the fight because Spence don't want it. We know this. I mean, how many times does Spence have to actually say he don't want to fight? And Spence said that he was never going to. Hey, listen, you know, we're going to have to go through the receipts because, I mean, I'm not even going to bring that video, but y'all can go to the video and see yourself because everybody saw this video already, but they're not watching it very closely. In the video with Errol Spence, and when they met, when, you know, Errol Spence had that red hoodie on and Crawford had the black hoodie on, remember when Errol Spence said to Crawford, Errol Spence said, well, Crawford said to Errol Spence, well, who are you going to fight? What's the plan that you got? So he said, well, you know, what did Al Heyman say? And that's what, and they were standing right next to each other. And so Crawford said, so what did Al Heyman say? And somebody else was talking, and Crawford said, hey, hold on. I want to hear what he got to say. I want to hear this. So Spence said, well, I'm going to fight Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, Mikey Garcia, and then Crawford, while he was running off these people on his fingers, Crawford said, he didn't mention me, huh? And Errol Spence turned and looked at him and said, nah, he didn't. So there's the plan. See, so all this talk about Errol Spence was going to clean up his side of the street and then he's going to fight Crawford is total nonsense, bullshit. Okay, that was never any such plan. Okay, and Errol Spence said it himself out of his own mouth. He admitted it on YouTube for everybody to see. So he didn't mention my name, huh? No, he didn't. So the plan is to fight all these guys, okay? And then Errol Spence is going to move up. He's not going to fight Crawford. Errol Spence, and then to confirm that, their trainer, Derek James, said that they want to get the 3 belts and that Errol Spence's legacy does not depend on a fight with Terence Crawford. So they've been trying to duck this. They've been giving messages that this fight is not going to happen for years now, but people just not seeing it. They just want to see what they want to see. They don't want to deal with the facts. They want to, go with what's in their vain imaginations and what they think is going to happen, and with all their, man fanism and their nut hugging, they're thinking they're making up. I mean, the people are making up narrative to spread, to try to make Errol Spence look like he's ducking when he's ducking. Okay, so everybody in boxing is ducking, according to these guys, at some point or time, except for Errol Spence. Right? So, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. Okay. These guys, I don't know. It's crazy right now. Okay. So, Errol Spence is going to continue to duck, and he's never going to fight Crawford. And we all are seeing that right now. Only a damn fool would believe anything else. Okay. Because we are seeing it laid out in front of us day after day after day. I mean, they were actually talking about Keith Thurman fighting Errol Spence next for a title eliminator. I mean, this is the craziest thing I ever heard in my life. Can you believe it? So Tim Smith comes out and says, there's no money for Terence Crawford. Then 2-3 days later, come out and say, there's going to be, Keith Thurman comes to start talking about he's going to be a title eliminator for after the Mario Barrios fight. He's going to be in line for the, a shot at Errol Spence title, and then maybe somewhere down the line he might fight Crawford. So they got this whole thing planned out, bro. They're not going to let Crawford come over there and smash Errol Spence and take that title like he did Sean Porter and Kell Brook and everybody else he fought. And they know what's going to happen. Okay. And so according to, the current plan, the current way of thinking, Errol Spence is a cash cow. And so if Crawford comes over there, smashes Errol Spence and gets the belt, then what? He's not with PBC. So what is PBC? So that's another belt they're going to be losing, at their welterweight. And then they already know once Crawford smashes Errol Spence, he's going to smash everybody else and get the rest of the belt. So he's going to be undisputed at 147. And then he's probably going to go up to 154 and smash somebody else up there as well. Okay. So at the end of the day, these people, they see Crawford as the dangerous individual. Okay. He's the most dangerous guy in boxing right now. Crawford is the most dangerous guy to the status quo, to the system, to the way they run business in boxing, because he's not a guy that go along to get along like the rest of those guys. He don't go along to get along. He's his own man. He do what he wants to do. He do his own thing. Okay. So this is what they don't like about Crawford. He's not going to submit. He's not going to bow down to them. Okay. So they don't like that. And, that's the way power works. Power doesn't give anybody anything. It doesn't concede. Power doesn't concede anything. Okay. Power don't concede. Okay. So the people, that's the people at the top in boxing right now, they see Terence Crawford as a problem. Why do you think all these promoters are coming out and saying, we don't know if we're going to work with Crawford, Eddie Hearn, all these guys? It's like a conspiracy. And don't tell me that they don't have conspiracies in boxing. They haven't. Okay? So they're trying to freeze Crawford out. And the question you got to ask yourself is why? But these Negroes, they're not asking why. They're just riding with the freeze out because of petty grievances, because of because Crawford has exposed their boy that they're nut hugging on, Errol Spence. Crawford has exposed Errol Spence as a ducker. Okay, and so they're mad at Terence Crawford for doing that. So they're going to ride with Bob Arum against Crawford because of that. And this is what's going on. So these guys are not but nut huggers. Okay, all these guys, it's crazy. All I can tell you is this, man. Again, our history is littered with people like these Negroes. People talk about this, but we keep making the same mistake generation after generation after generation. Okay. First, back in the day, they didn't want to. People might be surprised, but when Muhammad Ali was out, talking all that talk, when he was, you have to remember that Muhammad Ali was a black Muslim. Okay. Let's remember that back in the 60s. So imagine, so he was what you call somebody that we call today, that the system would call a radical. Okay, he went to jail. Okay, and he was a black back in the day. And so this is who so a lot of black people wasn't riding with Muhammad Ali. You have to understand this. Okay, many black people back in the day hated Muhammad Ali. And guess who was the one that hated Muhammad Ali? The Negroes. Okay, the Negroes. The one that, and when I say, I'm gonna have to define Negro because a lot of people might not know what Negro is. So when you hear me say Negroes, Negro, I'm talking about a specific people. I'm not making a broad brush of all black people when I say Negroes. As far as I'm concerned, there's categories, okay, of black people. Black people are not like one solid. Every black person don't think the same, and they don't have the same values, and they don't have the same everything. It's like black community ain't no different than other community. It's varied, different people, different things. Okay, let's just say that. So at the end of the day, you have in the black community, you have Africans. Okay, now who the Africans in the black community are those people who classify themselves as Africans. Okay, they're Africans. They consider themselves as Africans in America. Okay, just like a lot of people consider themselves like Chinese. Say, oh, they're Chinese. They're in America. They're Chinese Americans or whatever. So then you have the African Americans. Okay, and then you have the Negroes. And then you can go all the way to Uncle Tom and all the way down from there if you want to, but that's not required. That's not necessary. So when I say Negro, I'm talking about those people who subscribe to the European expectations of how they should act. Okay, so the Europeans expect a lot of black people to act a certain way, and so a lot of these Negroes subscribe to that. They go along with that. Okay, and so that's why I say these are Negroes. So then you have the Africans. They don't really, they're African. They see themselves as descended from Africa and from Africans, which is what they are. Okay, me personally, I'm in that category. I see myself as in that category. So you have the Negroes, you have the African Americans, and you have the Africans, and they're all black people. Okay, at the end of the day. So a lot of black people have taken their, are part of this Negro section of the black community. Okay, and we see them all the time, all over. They're on TV, they're on the radio, they're in the movies. Okay, they've always existed from the day we got here. Okay, until now. Okay, and they're always going to be here, probably more than likely. As long as the political situation is what it is. Okay, so it is what it is. Okay, so a lot of these guys, they don't have no shame to their game. They're proud to be what they are, in terms of how they operate. They have a history of it. Okay, so it's not nothing new. So again, like I was saying, when Ali was back in the day, all black people wasn't riding with Ali. A lot of black people today that talk about Ali like he's God or like he's this or like that. They wasn't riding with Ali back in the day, just like a lot of people not riding with Crawford now. Now, I'm going to say something now, and I'm not saying it because, I think that, I think Crawford is a special type of fighter. Okay, and I don't think that he's going to really be appreciated in his time. Just like that's the history shows us that the real fighters, the people that are great fighters, they don't really get the appreciation they're supposed to get because people just can't really see it for what it is. Okay. But I guarantee you that 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, people are going to be talking about Crawford like they talk about Muhammad Ali, like they talk about Jack Johnson, like they talk about Sugar Ray Leonard, like they talk about all those fighters. They're going to be talking about Crawford this way. And he's going to get credit for his accomplishments, but it's going to be a long time from now. I mean, there are a lot of people right now who give him credit for what he is. Okay. But it's not, for the most part, it's not black people. Okay, because if you look at the YouTube community and all these LDBC guys, okay, they're making money off of Crawford daily. They make 4, 5, 6 videos daily off Crawford, but they say he's not selling. Okay, but they're making money off of him. Okay, so this is what they do. So they're out there making money off of Crawford and criticize him at the same time. Okay, so it is what it is. Okay, so Crawford is getting, like I said, he's getting blasted by these people, on a daily basis, man, and it's a pitiful thing to watch, but and what they're doing for super chat money, they get a few dollars. I mean, a lot of these guys are probably getting paid, from some of these boxing organizations, I would think, because I don't see them, I mean, nobody's that stupid. Okay. But again, they'll do things to the detriment, of their community in general just to get a few dollars. And that's always been the history of, of our people. I mean, remember, he was a black person that shot and killed Malcolm X. Okay. So, we got to see for what it is. Okay. A lot of people will just continue to sell out. Okay, they're gonna keep selling out. They're not gonna change. They're always gonna be a detriment to progress. Okay, and we've seen all of that play out right now, in boxing, just like how it plays out in every other aspect of life in America. Racism. Okay, and so people out there criticizing Crawford because he's saying that Bob Arum is racist because there's racism in boxing. And these guys say that these LDBC guys claim that they came into boxing because of the racism and they want to do something about it. But here they are riding with a racist against another black man. I mean, it's crazy. I've never seen nothing like it. Okay, so they came into boxing to make a difference with the racist, commentary from the different pundits and all of that. But their main thing is to criticize another black fighter. They've been doing that for years, all because of petty grievances. Okay, and they're proud to come out and say, nah, they're not riding. They don't feel sorry for Terence Crawford. They're not riding with Terence Crawford. Oh, Terence Crawford was taking money from Bob Arum. He was dealing this. He was taking money from the white man. Like all of them don't get paid for the white man. Who's paying them? Where they get who signed their checks? Is YouTube owned by a black man? So, at the end of the day, man, black people, we really gotta see things for what they are. We really gotta step up the game and see things for what they are and stop, living in a fantasy world. You know what I mean? Hopefully this lawsuit with Terence Crawford would go to, according to the way he wanted to go. I hope he wins the case. I'm thinking he's going to win the case because, I mean, Bob Arum stuck his foot in his mouth a million times, and we all see it. We all saw that. Okay, so it's not anything new. Bob Arum say all kind of crazy stuff. I mean, it was on Barbershop Conversation that they had that was it Todd LaBeouf. I mean, doesn't he work for Top Rank? I mean, the no black fighter thing. I mean, what the hell? So, at the end of it, so the people, and when you point it out, people say, well, why did he sign with Bob then? Why did he re-sign? Bro, there are a million fighters signed with Bob right now. Why did they sign with Bob Arum? So if Terence Crawford was not supposed to sign with Bob Arum, then and no black fighter is supposed to sign with Bob Arum, but I don't see them criticizing anybody else sign with Bob Arum. No, on the contrary, they say, oh, Bob Arum, they Top Rank know how to develop fighters. They know how to develop fighters. So if they know how to develop fighters, why shouldn't Terence Crawford sign with them? And we saw how they develop. Something I want to say before I forget it again, because I was going to say it before now, I forgot it. Black, Terence Crawford is not considered, he's considered pound for pound, okay, fighter in the world, number 1 and number 2, depending on who you're talking to. But that designation is not from the black community, okay? Because the black community, it's like they grudgingly accept the fact that Crawford is pound for pound. It's not something that they want to admit. They rather say Errol Spence is pound for pound better than, or they say something like, well, Terence Crawford is pound for pound in the world, but Errol Spence is pound for pound at welterweight. What the hell is that? How can somebody be pound for pound in the world and then somebody else is at welterweight is pound for pound? That is, this is the kind of crazy mental gymnastics that people go through to try to, make Errol Spence the same as Terence Crawford. I don't want to, keep talking about Errol Spence, like I'm bashing Errol Spence, but we have to deal with reality, people. Okay. At the end of the day, I don't care. You can talk about pay-per-view all you want to, and all this foolishness about pay-per-view. But at the end of the day, when it comes to accomplishments, Terence Crawford is much more accomplished than Errol Spence. And we all know this. So I don't understand what the problem is in admitting that. Okay, it's two black fighters. Okay, one is better than the other, one is more accomplished than the other. So at the end of the day, Terence Crawford gets his props not from the black community or the YouTube community, but he gets his on LDBC, but he gets his prop from the larger community. Okay, so ironically, when you talk to all of the trainers, all of the top fighters in the game, all of the managers and people that know boxing, okay, they'll tell you, I'm talking about white trainers, black trainers. I'm not discriminating. All of them. When you talk to any of them, Eddie Roach, any trainer out there, okay, they're gonna tell you Crawford is the goods. Okay, the professional is gonna tell you that. This is why Crawford is number one pound for pound in the world, because of these people, not because of the YouTube or the LDBC. If it was up to them, Crawford would be under the ground. Okay. They would have Crawford under the dirt if it was up to them. They would give him no props whatsoever. If it wasn't for the larger community, Terence Crawford wouldn't get the recognition that he's getting right now, because he doesn't get none of that from his own people, except for a few people. Okay, but for the most part, these LDBC people and these YouTube communities, I'm talking about black people. They don't give Crawford any credit. And why? Because they're nut huggers. Okay, they rather put they rather use Errol Spence balls for their pillow. Okay, then give Terence Crawford his props. So this is what it is, people, and I'm gonna tell it like it is. I'm not gonna pull up punches anymore. It is what it is. Crawford is the real one, as far as I can see, and I support him 100% on what he's doing. And I hope he's very, he's successful at it. And I'm backing him 100% all the way, whatever it takes. Okay, and I wish him the best in this fight against the man or the system, as they say. Okay, the status quo. Okay, because he's taking up the fight. Nobody else is gonna do it. No, all these guys out there, they talk about all these other guys. You think they're not gonna do that? They wouldn't do that because they're too worried about their career. But the good thing about Crawford is that at the end of the day, they keep saying that, his career is over. His career is over. But, the ironic thing is that if Crawford's career was to end today, he will still have accomplished more than many boxers out there. Okay, he's at the elite echelon in boxing. Okay, at the top. Okay, that's where he is historically. And actually, so he's almost a living legend, okay? Because the fear of Crawford in boxing among the fighters that think they might have to face him is legendary, okay? This is what it is. We gotta see what it is, okay? It's legendary. The man is a living legend. All these guys are afraid of him. And, they can say what they want. Okay, but if you want to see what's really going on, you can't look at what people are saying. You got to look at what they're doing, because action speaks louder than words. And we all see the actions of all these people out there. We see it for ourselves. A lot of us don't want to believe it, but it is what it is. And, a lot of people, every time Errol Spence take another fight instead of fighting Crawford that he's been doing for the past 3 years, they say, he's going to, the next fight, he's going to call out Crawford. Yeah, keep waiting. Hold your breath while you're waiting too. Hold your breath while you're waiting for Errol Spence to call out Terence Crawford, okay? And see where he's going to get you. I guarantee you that's not going to happen. The next thing that the only hope we have of seeing a unification in 2022 is if Ugas win that fight. That's why we got to ride with Ugas. We got to ride and make sure Ugas, we got to give Ugas support to win this fight, because if he doesn't win the fight, we're not going to see undisputed. Okay, because Errol Spence don't want it, and he's said it in many different ways. And I just showed you just now that he actually said it out of his mouth that no, the plan that Heyman laid out for him does not include Terence Crawford. Okay, and those are the facts. So if you don't want to take it from Errol Spence's own mouth, I don't know what to tell you. You're just making shit up. Okay, about Errol Spence wanting to fight Crawford. He don't want it. He said it many times. He want to go back in his ranch and play with his horses. He can move and fight Canelo. He's on the other side of the street. When he get to 147 and get a belt, he'll fight. I mean, how many excuses do you have? And then the kicker, Tim Smith, come down and said there's no money for the Errol Spence Terence Crawford fight. So people, if you want to continue to believe that this fight is going to happen, that Errol Spence actually wants to fight Terence Crawford, then go ahead and believe it. But I can tell you right now, it's not the case. And I'm going to say it again, and I've said it many times, and I've said it in many of my videos. I'm going to say this again, and I'm going to end it here. The only way that we're going to get that Errol Spence fight is if we drag him into the ring, kicking and screaming all the way against his will, as we're not going to get that fight, people. It's not going to happen. We're going to have to drag Errol Spence into the ring against his will for this fight to happen. Okay? And remember, you heard it here first. So with that said, I'm going to leave it there. This has been a long video, longer than I wanted it to be, but there was a lot to cover. So I try to cover as much as I can. I'm going to come back and try to do some more videos, try to stay up on top of these videos. But yeah, the same old stuff going on for the most part. Negroes running around like roaches and, simping and signifying and shucking and jiving. I get tired of that nonsense sometimes, man. I mean, you get tired of listening to these Negroes talk foolishness all the time. Okay, so I just kind of took a little break from it, but I'm back. So here I am, and I'm laying it out for you guys. So with that being said, people, you're gonna hear some more. I'm gonna come back and deal with this subject some more, and we're gonna talk some more boxing. But for right now, I'm gonna leave it there. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Go to TBEBoxing.com. You're looking at it right now. Okay, go there. Check out the latest news articles, the latest headlines. Okay, and subscribe to TBE Boxing, because nobody else gonna give it to you like I'm giving it to you. Because these guys are out here, they're hoping to get interviews from some of these, fighters, and so we all saw how they act when the fighters come on their channel. Because at the end of the day, they're looking for YouTube. They're looking for YouTube chat money. That's the whole goal. I mean, you can't knock it. They're hustling. That's how they make the living or whatever. I don't know. But they'll say whatever it is they're going to say to make the money they need to make. And that's that. Okay? So it is what it is. I don't do that. I don't care about that. I'm not trying to get no interviews. I mean, if I get an interview, fine. But I'm not going to, beg nobody for no interview. Okay? I ask for an interview. If they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. But I don't even really too much care about interviews, because at the end of the day, it's a boxing analysis. It's not about boxing interviews. I'm not trying to, get too close to any of these fighters anyway. So it is what it is, okay? Because I can see a lot of these guys, when they get too close to the fighter, they start compromising their channel, they start nut hugging, they start, start talking all kind of foolishness, start showing favoritism, start running and spinning narratives, and it's just ridiculous. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna give it to you raw. So you're gonna like it or lump it. Okay, so hate it or love it. So you can like or hate, whatever you want to do. But this is TBE Boxing, and that's all I have. I'm out.